welcome to the Sugaridoo channel. My name is Irene and today I'm going to work on the second round of the round robin for our quilt bee. And I get to work on this block. It's made by Sews and I get to add a border around it. First I spent some time on the computer just doodling in Illustrator. I first put the star block in there, which is a design by Quiet Play, and then I just started playing around. I have a charm pack with tiny colored squares, so I'm going to use that around the border and also white fabric. So this is what I came up with, some pluses and also a variation where I put the block on point and then add triangles around it. Now I have to choose which one I like best, and I am going with the triangle option. So I'm going to sew all my squares into half square triangles, but before I do that I have to do some drawing and measuring because I do want to get a very precise and clean look. Okay, so let's do some drawing and measuring. The block I'm working with is 10.5 inches. So it's going to be 10 inches in total. And then divide this in 4. So there's going to be 3 triangles here and then 3 over here. So what I want to know is this length, of course, so that I know the size of my half square triangles. So I know this is going to be 10 inches, so then we just do some math. It's about 1.75. That should be accurate enough, I think. I'm just going to sew a test block and check if it works out. So there we have the block. This is 2.5 inches and I just sewn a little bit closer to the center line. Let's cut this in half and give it a press. There we go. Let's see what the finished size is. It is about 2.5 inches, and that's great because I want to end up with 1 3/4. So adding half inch seam allowance makes it 2.25, and that's it. So can cut this up. Let's get an inch ruler. Here we have an inch ruler. Great. This is exactly 2.25 inch. That worked out just perfectly. So now I'm going to cut up my white fabric into squares of 2.5 inch and start sewing a lot of half square triangles. So I almost started sewing and then I realized that I just didn't want to use the same color twice because I didn't have enough colors in the charm pack. I would needed to use some of them twice. But now I found some extra fabrics. Just remember that I have this whole pile of solid fabrics, all those colors. So I'm just going to really match these colors and put them in the borders. So everything is chain pieced, and And the good thing of deciding to use only one triangle of each color is that I could sew in the middle of the squares, which means that my half square triangle is going to be 2.5 inches. So it's a bit bigger, so that gives me a little bit more room to cut these triangles to the exact size that I want. It is going to leave me with smaller half square triangles, but I can always use that in a different project or in a pincushion or something like that. And saying that, I just hopped back to my sewing machine to add another seam. So this is going to be the half square triangle that I'm using now, and then I will end up with tiny half square triangles which I can use later. When pressing open these half square triangles, I'm pressing away from my white fabric, so I'm folding the darker fabric. So when you do that, you won't see the seam on the side of the white fabric, because the seam is folded towards the darker fabric, so it won't show beneath here. So next step is squaring up my triangle squares. They are now 2.5 inches, but I want to make them into perfect 2.25 inch squares. So I'm going to use this ruler for that. And in this ruler, if you already use this a lot, of course you know, but for those of you who've never used a ruler like this, you have lines over here, diagonal lines, and they state the angle which they make with the side of the ruler. So this is 30 degrees, so you make a 30-degree angle with the side of the ruler, and I'm going to use the 45 degrees angle, because when I put this over here, you see that's the angle that my two fabrics make. Yeah, so I'm going to use that line, and I'm going to show you how. So this is the block I'm going to square up using the 45-degree angle. Other line I'm going to use on the ruler is the 2.25 inch line. So those two I'm going to use. I'm going to put this line on the center fold between the white and the greenish turquoise, and there we go. So now I need to figure out the rest of the triangle which I'm going to add. So this part is done, and this is done. So I need to know how big this is, and these two. But these two are just the same size as my half square triangle. So for this one, that is 2 times the size of the half square triangle, which is 175. So that is 3.5 inch long. So this side, adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. It needs to be 4 inches in this side. I think that's good, but when I do only 4 inch, I'm not sure. Long story short, I just need to trim off a 4 inch square and 2 smaller squares, and then I sew it and then trim it after sewing. Oh, I love it. Oh, I really love how this looks. So there's going to be white triangles in here, and then smaller triangles over here. I've cut them way too big, but well, who cares? So first off, I'm going to join these, and going to join these and these and these. And of course these triangles are way too big, but you can really easily cut them off, so that's no problem at all. I really like where this is going. So now I only have to attach this to the center block. And I didn't measure these 3 triangles exactly, so they're larger than they should be. But since I work with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I should just trim off until I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance from this point. So on top of this point and this point I should add a 1/4 inch. Oops, shift it a little bit. That's going to be it. Great, now let's join these. Ooh, I did it. I don't know why, but I thought it was really scary to sew something to a block that someone else made. Yeah, so it worked out really nice. Oh, and to get this even more precisely in the middle, I'm folding this and then marking it with my nail a bit so I know the center of the block. And I'm doing the same with this, with the original block. So I'm folding that and just pressing here a little bit. Gives me a center mark, and then I can line up those 2. And there we have it, the finished block. I am so super happy with it. I think it's bright and colorful, and I love how the white is over here in the star and then over here in the block. It's just happy with how it turned out, and yeah, I was pretty scared to add something to someone else's block. So I really hope she likes it. If you want to learn more about how I made this, I'm writing out all the measurements and stuff on my blog. So if you have a 10-inch block and want to make this border around it, just hop over to the blog and get all the details there. Well, yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to make some pin cushions with the other half square triangles. And in the next video you can expect either those pin cushions, or I'm going to sew on a project with freezer paper for foundation paper piecing. So that's not foundation paper piecing, I guess. It's freezer paper piecing. Well, either way, I hope to see you next time again. Thanks for watching, and bye bye!